All right, section 1.5, part 3. We're talking about quadratic equation with complex solutions. That means when you work out these problems, your discriminant, this number under here, is what kind of a number? Negative. Good. It's a negative number. From now on, if it says solve using the quadratic formula, you could have negatives underneath there, you could not. But you always simplify. We never leave a radical that has a negative in it, and you never leave a radical, guys, that's not simplified. Lots of you lost points on lots of problems because you didn't break down the radical. You can't say anymore, I don't know how to. We need to figure out how to, so let's make sure we're paying attention to that. All right? If we come to these two problems, these are anything highlighted we're going to do. These two problems are different. First of all, they look different because A says x squared plus 9 equals 0, and B says x squared plus 4x plus 5 equals 0. All right, look at these two equations. They're both quadratics. I know they're both quadratics because they're x squared. But they're different because the first one does not have a b term. It doesn't have a term that just has just a plain old x with it. If you have a quadratic equation that does not have a b term, you can solve for x. You could just move the 9 over, right? If I subtract 9 from both sides, x squared equals negative 9. Then I do what? Take the square root, good. And I get x equals, what kind of 3i? Plus minus 3i. All right, two parts of your answer that are really important is 1, the plus minus, and 2, the I. If you tell me that's plus minus 3, it's completely wrong. There's a major difference, guys, between an imaginary number and a real one. So the plus minus, if you forget that, that's points off. But if you forget the I, because it's imaginary, completely wrong. Now, if you wanted to just use the quadratic formula, you absolutely could. But what number would you use for B? 0. Okay, good. Make sure you guys got that. Now, on your quiz Monday, it's going to say solve using the quadratic formula. But going forward, anytime you have a factoring problem or a quadratic, it's just going to say solve. So in the case of it just saying solve, you should try to factor first to keep yourself from wasting time. We make a lot of mistakes here. I have 1 times 5 is 5. Are there factors of 5 that will multiply to give me 5 but add to give me 4? No. Are there factors of negative 5 that will multiply to give me negative 5 but add to give me 4? Yes. But a lot of you miss little things like that, so you just tell me, oh yeah, it's 5 and 1. I agree with you guys. 5 minus 1 is 4. But 5 times a negative 1 is a negative 5, not a positive. That's why you can't factor this. So in a case like this, we need to make sure that our quadratic is set equal to 0. Everything's on the same side. Some of us forgot to do that. And then we just plug in. You should know the quadratic formula by heart by now. If you don't, do something over the weekend to remember it. I have 3 or 4 of you that put negative b plus or minus b squared plus 4ac. Does that make a big deal if you put a plus instead of a minus? Yes. Just pay attention, guys. It's a minus underneath. The discriminant is a minus. So make sure you get your problem set up correctly. Negative 4 plus minus the square root. 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 5 all over 2 times 1, which is 2. Once you get to this point, just simplify. You don't have to do everything at one time. Take your time. You have negative 4 plus minus. What is 4 squared? 16 minus 20 all over 2. So I have negative 4 plus minus. What's 16 minus 20? Negative 4, guys. Negative 4 over 2. Do you see that negative underneath? That means what's going to be in your answer? An I. So if you need to, separate it. It's a negative 1 times 4. So you see that there's an imaginary in there that has to come out. So when you take out that imaginary, the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of negative 1 is I. So you're left with negative 4 plus minus 2I over 2. Are you done? You have to simplify. 2 goes into both of these, so that's fine. But if I were you, I would say, okay, I'm going to break this up into negative 4 over 2 plus minus 2I over 2. What happens with negative 4 and 2? Becomes negative 2, good, plus minus. What happens with the 2's on the I? They cancel out, just becomes I. So there is your complete problem. Now, the further along in the process you get, the more points you earn. If you make a mistake up here, it's more points off than if you make it here. That's why it's so important to show as much work as you can so I can kind of see how your brain is working, see your thought process, and I can try and find you some points. Because I promise I do. Believe me, I don't like when I go through a test and people don't do well. Because it means that I'm not doing my job, maybe. Or who's not doing their job? You are not doing your job. If everybody misses the same question in every class I teach, that's on me. If only a few people miss it, that's on you. So just make sure you guys are paying attention to all your little things. All right, now all of the examples I have here, I have 3 on this page and I think like 3 on the next or something. They're all ready, set in standard form for you. But remember, the first thing you need to do is check to see, hey, is everything on one side of the equal sign set equal to 0? All of them are in this case, so I'm just going to go. But you need to every time identify A is 10, B is negative 4, C is positive 10. Yep. You could. Yeah. Bamford said, can you divide everything by 2? Yeah, absolutely. If you take out that 2, that's fine. Your numbers get smaller to begin with. But if you don't notice that, no big deal. But yeah, you could. So I have negative 4 plus minus my b squared. So negative 4 squared minus 4 times a, which is 10, times c, which is 10. All over 2 times 10. So guys, just take a second, make sure all your signs are right, your numbers are in the right spot, and simplify. What's a negative 4? 4. Plus minus, what's negative 4 squared? 16, good. Minus, what's 4 times 10 times 10? 400. All over 20. Simplify a little more. I have 4 plus minus. What is 16 minus 400? Negative 384. A lot of you got to this point on some of your problems and then didn't know how to simplify or didn't simplify. Some of you just went, oh, okay, this becomes 1 over 5. That's not the way it works, guys. First of all, I see a negative underneath that square root, so that's a problem. So I have 4 plus minus. Now, we have to see if 384 breaks down. I'm sure it does. I know that there's a negative 1 there, so I'm going to already pull that out and just so I remind myself that there's an I. But off the top of my head, I don't know the biggest perfect square, non-perfect square that goes into 384. So just come down somewhere and say, okay, let's do our upside down division. 384 divided by 2. Well, 2 goes into 3 one time with 1 left over, right? 2 goes into 18 9 times. And then 2 goes into 4 2 times, all right? So we can go 2 again. So 2 goes into 19 8 times with 1 left over. So 9 times, my bad, you're right. Thank you. 9 times with 1 left over. 2 goes into 12, 6, okay? So again, 2 goes into 9 4 times with 1 left over. 2 goes into 16, 8 times. Again, 2 goes into 48, 24. 2 goes into 24, 12. 2 goes into 12, 6. Good. So look, lots of 2's. Everybody see all these 2's? Yeah. Anything that is a pair comes out of the radical. So I have 1 pair there, so that's 2. Got another pair there, that's 2. And then I have another pair there, that's 2, right?
Once you get 6, you can't take 2 on.
Well, you can, but then I knew it was, yeah, you're right. Then it's just 2 and 3, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So there's not another, I stopped because I knew there wasn't another pair, but you're right. I should have kept going. So what is 2 times 2 times 2? 8. That 8 is out in front. Those are the pairs we took out, correct? So what is left over inside? 2 times 3, which is 6. Is there anything else that I can take out from underneath the radical that I didn't yet? I have to take out the I, right? That -1 is still there. I have to cross this out and bring it out here. That's probably the hardest part of this problem, was breaking down -384. So you guys are left with 4 plus or minus, 8i, radical 6 over 20. We still have some more simplifying to go. This becomes 4 over 20 plus minus 8i root 6 over 20. What goes into both 4 and 20? 4, so this becomes 1 over 5. Plus minus, what goes into 8 and 20? 4, so this becomes 2i root 6 over 5. If you have the same denominator, once you simplify, you're more than welcome to put it back together if you want to. No, you can leave it just like that. But guys, I urge you, please, so many people made mistakes where they would go here, pull that a 1 and make that a 5. That is not correct. If you're going to simplify, you have to pull the terms apart. Yes?
Will there ever be a time when the denominator is not the same?
Yeah. Well, they could be different. Absolutely. That's why I say it's important to pull them apart. I think that happened on 2 of the versions of the test. All right, so let's go through. I want to do all these examples just so we have them. You guys have them in front of you. You get the practice down. Now, could you use completing the square on this problem? Yes. The b term is even, and you're starting off with a positive 1. But if it tells you to solve using the quadratic formula, what do you need to do? Solve using the quadratic formula. So here, a is 1. Whoa. B is -6. And C is 12. So negative B is -6 plus minus B squared, -6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 12, all over 2a, which is just the number 2. 2 negatives make a positive. Good. So it's 6 plus minus. What's -6 squared? 36. Good. Minus, perfect, very good, guys, over 2. All right, keep going. 6 plus minus, -12, good, over 2. Keep going. 6 plus minus, -12. First, I'm going to take out that -1. And then what do I break 12 into? 4 and 3. Now let's take out. What can we take out? 2i. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of -1 is I. Now, some of you can look here and go, okay, 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. Right? I agree, some of you can do that. Some of you don't. You just go the 6 and the 2. Don't forget about the other one. So that's why I keep telling you, pull it apart. 6 divided by 2 plus minus 2i root 3 over 2. And you can see that the 2 goes into the 6 and to the 2i. So when we do that, what is 6 divided by 2? 3. Plus minus, what happens with my 2's? They cancel out, so you have I root 3. And there is your final answer. In the quadratic formula, really and truly, the first step is the major algebra part, and then the rest of it is just all simplifying, which can get confusing. I understand that. That's why we're practicing this a bunch. I don't think I'll ever get used to that bell. Scares me every time. All right, we're set up in standard form. We're good to go. So A equals 5, B equals -2, and C equals 5. -2 plus minus -2 squared minus 4 times 5 times 5 all over 2 times 5. Lots of 5's in there. Make sure the signs are correct. When we simplify, what's a negative? -2. Positive 2, good. Plus minus. What's negative 2 squared? 4. Minus, what's 4 times 5? 20 times 5. All over what? 10? All right, good. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. So I have 2 plus minus. What is 4 minus 100? Negative 96. Good. Negative 96 over 10. Now this is the part, guys. Lots of us cannot just say, oh, the biggest perfect square that goes into 96 is, which is fine. But you need to understand, you got to try to break it down. They may not always break down, but you should definitely try. So I know I have a negative 1 underneath here that I'm going to have to take out at some point. I'm still over 10, but 96, okay? I know 2 goes into 96. 2 goes into 96 how many times? 4 with 1 left over, which is what, 8, right? Okay, good. 2 goes into 96 48 times. 2 goes into 48 how many times? 24, there you go. Then 2 again is, then 2 again is, then 2 again is, okay? Pull out the pairs. The pairs we pull out, we will put out in front. So I have 1 pair here and another pair here. Anything else? So what's going to go out in front? 2 times 2 is 4. What's going to stay inside? Good. One more thing I can pull out. This is going to cross out and become an I. Good job. Now at this point, guys, if you see, okay, 10 and 2 simplify, 4 and 10 simplify. That's fine, but you should probably get in the habit of going like this so you don't miss part of it. I keep saying the same thing, I know, but a lot of you go, okay, 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 5, 2 goes into 10 5 times. That is not the complete simplification. You have to look at both terms individually. So 2 over 10 becomes 1 over 5. And then 4i root 6 over 10 becomes plus minus 2i root 6 over 5. You are welcome to leave it like that, or since they have the same denominators, you can push them back together. You can leave them separated, or you can push them back together. Questions? All right, let's move along. We may not do all of these. We'll see. Let's do 7. Let's do 7. All right, we're set in standard form, yes? Make sure everything is on one side, thank you. Set on one side equal to 0. So now let's name our A, our B, and our C. What's A? A is 9, good. What's B? Good. And C? Good. Now take your time in this step. Make sure that you have everything in the right spot with the right signs. So I have negative 4 plus minus b squared is negative 4. Was that a sneeze? Bless you. Negative 4 squared minus 4 times a is 9 times c is 2 all over 2 times 9. All right, these numbers are a little bigger. A negative 4 gives me a positive 1. Plus minus, what is negative 4 squared? 16 minus 4 times 9 is 36 times 2 is 72. Good. All over 2 times 9 is 18. Good. All right. Now, if you need to write down 72 minus 16, do it. But I have 4 plus minus. What is 16 minus 72? Negative 56, good Jed, over 18. I need to break down 56. I like that, negative 1, good. 4 plus minus, I'm going to get this set up. I have a negative 1 there, now 56. 8 and 7. 8 and 7, I agree. But inside 8, there's a perfect square, right? 56. 2 goes into 5 2 times with 1 left over, so 8. 2 goes into 28 14 times. 2 goes into 14 times 7 times. So whatever pair you can pull out goes out in front. What can I put out in front? 2. Is there anything else that has a pair? No? So 2 times 7 goes inside 14 here. And then what can I take out with that -1? This becomes an I. Good. So you have 4 over 18 plus minus 2I root 14 over 18. Guys, do you ever simplify anything underneath the radical with the denominator? No. I don't care that they're both even numbers or anything like that. They are, the square root of 14 is not the same thing as the whole number 14. So you can't cross those out. You can. I'm just saying you can't simplify these two. Some people did that on the quiz. Whatever we just took. All right, so 4 and 18. Divide top and bottom by 2. 2 over 9. Plus minus what? I root 14 over 9. If you wanted to write a 1 right here in front of it, that's perfectly fine. You can do that. You don't have to. And since they both have the same denominator, you can rewrite over one denominator. That's fine as well. Fine as well. Let's do number 9. And then we'll do my little reminder review thing. Then I'll give you guys your test back. Okay, we're set equal to 0. We're in standard form, so A is 5, B is -4, and C is 6. So I have -4 plus minus -4 squared minus 4 times 5 times 6 all over 2 times 5. Everything good? All right, so -4 gives me +4 plus minus. What's -4 squared? 16 again. And then 4 times 5, 20 times 6. So -120. And then I have over 10. What's 16 minus 120? -104. Good. -104 over 10. So now we're like, okay, I know I can simplify this more. Whatever pairs I have on the outside can come out. Anything else that's stuck on the inside needs to stay on the inside. So take 104 divided by 2. 52 divided by 2. 26 divided by 2. Divided by nothing. 13. So what can I take out? What has a pair? I got a pair of 2s, so I'm going to put it out front here. What stays inside? 26, 13 times 2. Whoa. And then what happens? This becomes your I. So you have 4 plus minus 2. Sorry, let me separate it. 4 plus minus, that's a minus sign. So 4 over 10 plus minus 2I root 26 over 10. 4 and 10 become 2 over 5. Plus minus, what happens with my 2 and the 10? It becomes 1 over 5. And there's your answer. Questions? All right, so your quiz, okay? Your quiz on Monday. This is in no way a major quiz review. Anything that we have from this section, we spent 3 days on one section. Anything that we talked about. But you guys need to be able to do multiple things in one step. Like if you look at number 1, all this is multiplication with addition and subtraction in it, right? I'm not going to give you one problem that says like multiply 6 times 3. You're going to have to do a couple things together, which is fine. We need to remember that when we have I squared, what does that equal? -1. So every time you see that I squared, you cross off the I squared, change the sign of whatever's in front. So if we go through this problem to simplify, this -3 needs to just hang out here. Then I have plus 6. What does it mean to say 3I minus 2 quantity squared? You got 2 of them. You have 3I minus 2 times 3i minus 2. What is this 7 out in front? It's distributing. Good. You can go ahead and do that now if you want to. You can say plus, well, 7 times 5 is 35i. 7 and negative 4 is minus 28. And then I have plus 14i. Now, somebody asked me last period, do I distribute the 6 first or do I FOIL it? It doesn't matter. You can distribute the 6 in and then FOIL, or you can do it the other way. I'm going to leave the negative 3 plus 6 in the outside, and I'm going to go ahead and FOIL. 3i times 3i is 9i. Cross off that I squared and put what? Negative 9. Good. So 3i times negative 2 is minus 6i. Negative 2 and 3i is minus 6i. Negative 2 and a negative 2 is plus 4, right? So just simplify that yellow. You still have the negative 3 plus 6 times. What's negative 9 plus 4? Negative 5. And that is what? Negative 12i. Good. And then you still have the rest of your problem. Plus 35i minus 28 plus 14i. Don't combine anything until all of your multiplication is done. So I still have that negative 3 out in front. Then I have negative 5 times 6 is minus 30. 6 times negative 12i is minus 72i. And then finish the problem. Should you ever have an I squared anywhere in your problem? And your answer, no. At some point, guys, when you get I squared, you need to cross it off and change that to a negative 1. So now you have reals and imaginaries. You have to write your answer in standard form. A plus BI. Real part first, imaginary part second. So all of the reals, let's just go through. I have negative 3 minus 30. Negative 33 minus 28. What is it? Negative 61. You guys agree? 33, 28. Okay. So now negative 72 plus 35. What is it? Negative 37. Okay. Negative 37 plus 14. Negative 23. What? I. And there's your answer. Can you combine any more? No. Real is in front. Imaginary is the second thing. What's wrong with number 2? Can't have eyes where? In the denominator. How do we get rid of it? You multiply by the conjugate, the complex conjugate. Well, how do you figure out what the complex conjugate is? It's 2 minus. Make sure you're in standard form and then change the sign in the middle. So this becomes 2 minus 6i. What you do to the bottom, you do where? Remember, guys, I told you, do the denominator first, because if the i's don't cancel, if somehow you miss the sign and the i's don't cancel, then you need to go back and recheck. But 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12i. 6i and 2 is plus 12i. And 6i and negative 6 is negative 36i squared. As soon as you see that I squared, what do? Cross it off and change. So I have 4 plus 36 gives me 40. What happens with positive and negative 12i? They cancel, which is exactly what we wanted to happen. So now we're good. That means we did the complex conjugate correctly. So let's go ahead and simplify the numerator. Negative 4 and 2 is negative 8i. Negative 4i and negative 6i is plus 24, I squared. Good. Cross off that I squared, change that sign. Negative 8 and 2 is minus 16. And negative 8 and negative 6i is plus 48i. Real with real. So I have a negative 24 and a negative 16. What does that give me? Negative 40, right? And then negative 8 and 48 is plus 40i. I made this problem up right before you guys came in. The chances of me having it work out like that, I should play the lottery tonight. That's crazy. So let's simplify. So negative 40 over 40 plus 40i over 40. What's negative 40 over 40 become? Negative 1. What's 40i divided by 40 become? Plus I. Wow. Numbers are funny. All right, last one, and then I'll give you your test back. If you have to simplify, okay, this problem looks a little overwhelming. At first, you guys are like, whoa. But let's just think about it. What can you combine? Think about things you can combine. Real with what? Real. Imaginary with imaginary. Okay, that's good. So we know the difference between real and imaginary. Also, you can combine stuff that has like terms, like if they have the same radical or something like that. So take each one of these and separately simplify it. This says 5 times whatever's on the inside there. Well, what is this really? Negative 1 times 121. Yeah, right? What's the square root of 121? 11. And then what's the square root of negative 1? I. So this is really how much? 55i. Good. So then I have here minus 3 times negative 1 times the square root of 2. What can I do there? Just take out the I, right? Take out that negative 1, becomes I. So this is just minus 3i root 2. So keep scooting along. This is plus 40. Just kidding, 4. And then this is negative 1. Can I break up 50 into something? What? Okay, I agree, 5 and 10. 25 and 2. Okay, so 25 times 2. Well, what can I take out of 25 and negative 1? 5 what? 5i. So what does this now become? Plus 20i, what? Square root of 2. All right. So keep scooting. You guys are doing great. So I have minus, does anybody know square root of 64? 8. Perfect. So minus 8. And then 9i is just hanging out here at the end. So now, guys, you've done a lot of simplification. Is there anything that you can combine? You can combine the 55i and the 9i, right? And what else? I can do the imaginaries that have the root 2. Do you guys see that? They ended up being like terms. What has to come first in this problem? The negative 8. Why does the negative 8 need to be written out there first? Because it's real. Now, the imaginary stuff, however you combine it is fine. Doesn't matter. You can put the 55 plus 9 first or the roots. What is 55i plus 9i? Plus 64i. And then what's negative 3i plus 20i? Plus 17i root 2. And there is your answer. But that problem can look very intimidating at first. Just take each term and simplify it. Just simplify, 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 and it'll come together as you go through. If you try and do everything at one step and with no work or anything like that, it's going to be crazy. All right, so we're good? Okay.